Jersey Autobahn readers enjoyed an earlier version of this article. Since then, I've learned a great deal more and am excited to share it here. Our jeweled avian guests begin arriving each year in April, some years as early as the 4th, and some years as late as the 28th, but normally between the 19th and the 23rd. In southern New Jersey, ruby-throated hummingbirds, the East's only breeding hummingbird, time their arrival with the blooming of the flowering quince. Elsewhere it may be the crabapple, apple, blueberry, azalea, autumn olive, black locust, or tulip tree blossoms that first draw them in. During early spring cold snaps, a hummingbird's life may be saved as it feeds on sap flowing from trees and shrubs where yellow-bellied sapsuckers have drilled their holes. Hummingbird feeders, good or bad. Despite yeoman efforts, my gardens in April and May are pretty sparse for hungry hummingbirds. So, to intercept spring migrants and hold on to them as potential nesting birds, I hang hummingbird feeders in mid-April. Males arrive first, and some years one buzzes in as I'm hanging the first feeder. From that day forward, hummingbirds are regulars at my feeders and in budding treetops as they flit after spiders and other insects. The constant source of food that a feeder can provide, April through October, in a garden that is always changing and where nectar is not constant, may be what entices a hummingbird to nest in your yard or nearby. The proper solution for a feeder is 1 part sugar and 4 parts water, or 1 cup of sugar added to 4 cups of water. A stronger sugar concentration could be hard for the birds to digest or lead to liver damage. A quart can be made at a time and stored in the refrigerator. Red dye is unnecessary, even discouraged. Most hummingbird feeders have red parts that serve quite well to attract the birds. A honey solution may lead to fatal fungus disease in hummingbirds. A mandatory responsibility that comes with the enjoyment feeders bring is maintaining their cleanliness and supplying fresh solution. They must be cleaned thoroughly with hot, soapy water and then rinsed with boiling hot water at least once a week and more frequently every 2 to 3 days during the extreme heat of summer. Then refill with fresh solution, even if birds are not diminishing the supply. Otherwise, old solution ferments and could even be harmful once it turns into alcohol. Early in the spring, when feeder activity is low, I only put an inch or so of solution in each feeder. Actually, the only time I fill the feeders to the top is during heavy use from late June to early September. The Cape May Bird Observatory and other New Jersey Audubon Society centers sell and highly recommend Hummingbird feeders because they are so well thought out and educational. 1, they're easy and quick to clean. 2, they have no hidden parts where mold can roses in December, since late fall is when western rarities like black-chinned, calliope, Allen's, and rufous hummingbirds have appeared in gardens with feeders in New Jersey. A successful hummingbird garden. Many flowering plants attract hummingbirds. Most are tubular in shape, and many are red, though certainly not all. A successful hummingbird garden provides nectar sources